Just put a video out yesterday, live stream deal anyway. Made a video and we basically went through my whole arsenal of rods that I currently have at the moment. By the time spring comes around, it could actually have changed a little, but probably not. So what I've got for you today, we're going to run through real quick my ultralight BFS rod and reel combos that I've got put together, because as of yesterday, if you remember right, I had this one and this one, the only one's really the only rod with the reel on it, because I do plan on using these like this. I'd planned on using these others like that, but I kind of wanted to just wait. And so yesterday I did a lot of different was casting out front of a lot of different things, different ways, configurations, and I've come up with this is probably what I'm going to run. But before we get started, you know me, my videos are always real short, right? And to the point? No. But I just wanted to show you guys, it was finally time for a change. So I went up to the mall and I had this hat made. Now I went up to just redo, and let me show you this. Here, you guys probably haven't paid a lot of attention. I know, I don't pay attention to what hats guys are wearing most of the time. But let me move this one again. Here is my old Bass and Bonsai hat, and I'm going to show you. If you guys don't like nasty stuff, don't look, because I'm going to flip this hat over and show you the inside. Now, when a hat gets worn, now it's not horrible, and it's been washed in the washing machine a few times. But I picked this up from Lids, I don't know how long ago. And this thing, I don't even call it a lucky hat, because I do wear different hats. You guys probably seen, I've got my Average Joe's Fishing Club. I bought one of their camo hats, and I wear it when it's usually hotter. But I always find myself wearing these hot hats in the middle of the summer. Just, I don't know, I like the way these fitted hats fit. And I think my head size, if you guys are wondering, is like 7 3/8. I think is what this one is and what this new one I just got. They fit a little tight to start out with, but I found if you get one that feels perfect, for those of you on a fitted hat, it seems like as soon as it wears in, it's like too loose. The wind, 20, 30 mile an hour winds, whoo, there goes your hat. So I like them to fit a little snug. But this hat, it's seen better days. But B&B, right? And, Bass and Bonsai, this hat's time to go. I don't know if I'm throwing it away or it's just probably going to sit behind. If you guys remember, or you've probably seen, I had an Iron Man hat that lasted forever. So anyway, it was time for a change. And if you guys don't know, today the Chiefs are playing. And if they win, they go to the Super Bowl again. And there's no way they can get beat by Tom Brady. Right? And I'll be honest, I don't care if you're a Tom Brady fan, a Chiefs fan, or not, or whatever. I'm not a huge football fan like I used to be. I'll tell you a quick story. I was at the game, the infamous, if you guys remember, Lynn Elliott, kicker for the Chiefs. We were in that crazy game with the Colts, freezing cold. I was there. You guys know about my fingers. I had hot cocoa. I bought I don't know how many cups of hot cocoa at whatever outrageous price, just to try to keep my hands warm holding that and blowing in it and stuff. It was a nightmare. But anyway, pretty much after that game, I wasn't a diehard Chiefs fan anymore. I was still a fan, but not as much as I used to be. But anyway, I think it came out pretty cool. And I went up to get just that, to replace my old hat, and I was going to have it put on the front. Well, then I got to looking, and I don't know if I've ever, I don't know. I've never owned just a solid black Chiefs hat. And I thought, just a kind of subtle, and I was going to just have it put in black. And I'm like, you know what? That is perfect spot. If you guys are, familiar with the channel, you'll see me fishing at that camera angle a lot. So I figured I'd have it put right there, Bass and Bonsai, right? And that is my favorite coloring, like when you are, on you probably see my t-shirts, Top Water, and a few other shirts and stuff over the years. So yeah, very nice hat, but I'm telling you guys right now, these hats are outrageously priced. This hat is made, it's official NFL and all that kind of stuff, 7 3/8, there's my size. It's not a Lids, it's actual NFL one, since it was with the Chiefs logo. This thing itself was like $45, something like that. Outrageous in my mind. But like, it's the sign of the times in today. Everything is crazy priced. But it should last. If it lasts me a couple years, I don't know how many years this one lasted. Let's put it side by side real quick. I know this is about fishing, but this started out this color. Look, it's like a green now. Oh man, it's so fun. I laugh now. I look at this hat compared to new. I'm like, wow. It was time. So we got a new hat. Feeling good about that. We're going to try to get some luck into it out on the water as soon as we can get out there and start fishing. I will be wearing this hat to try to get some luck in it. So now I've already got some luck in this rod. If you haven't seen the video, I'm not going to link any videos. You know, I'm not a big linker. I probably should be. I'd probably get more views on all my videos. But this rod right here, at the moment, I'd have to call my favorite ultralight, you know, just BFS rod in general. For the real little stuff, the Ultralight BFS stuff. This Teton rod, the very first outing, it was like, I think I did catch a crappie or two, but my first bass on this was a nice bass. Like if you guys have this rod and catch a, I think it was 2 something pound bass, but a fish of 2-pound caliber on this rod, it's awesome. That is probably my new favorite reel. But let's talk about my least to most favorite. So there was talk on this on BFS fishing forum. A guy had asked about this and he'd ordered 1 or 2 or something. Let's talk about this combo. This honestly my least favorite ultralight combo of the bunch. I just can't, I love the rod, or sorry, I love the reel. This is the one I've kind of made. This is basically the frame spool that caught my personal best largemouth bass earlier, well, last year. It did, I don't know, the Forever Fall, beginning of the Forever Fall bite. That was the reel, and I did put the Spirit Fox Seafoam, or turquoise, can't talk today. I can't talk any day, who am I kidding? But I put that side plates, front nose piece on it, added a little purple and the gold off of the PW100 just to kind of make a crazy looking reel. And I plan on keeping this one. And I'll be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that I caught my personal best on this, I probably would ship this out. But it's hard to find a rod that this thing looks good on now. I mean, it's crazy looking. I don't know. It's just, I don't know if it's me, but it definitely looks good. But it just isn't really my, do you see my taste kind of in here? But it's a nice overall combo. Once you add all this together, these colors aren't that far off, and it goes good together. This rod, however, was a friggin' nightmare. So I thought I should get that out there. Hello, Paul. But here's the deal with this rod. If you guys are looking, I can't really say no. You know, don't buy a rod. Well, as you can tell, I've had like 20 some fishing rods, right? I can't say no. That's obvious. But if you guys haven't, I'm going to give you a rundown on my issues that I had with this rod. First of all, I ordered a 6'6". Horrible decision on my part because this is a whippy rod. So instantly, though, I couldn't get this apart. It was supposed to be 3 pieces, and this was turned wrong. The first eye was like way off from centered. I mean, way off. But it's, you know, it come off. But in the process of twisting it out, it weakened the blank. I guess me twisting so hard, and they shouldn't fit that tight. It shouldn't take every force of your might to get a rod separated. So anyway, I planned on shortening anyway. I knew right off the bat that 6'6" was way too whippy, so I basically cut off a bunch of the rod. You know, this was way further up, and I brought it down, so it's about 5'6" now. But then I wasn't out of issues. I had an issue with, although this seemed straight, this and this weren't straight. There was a, you know, the little line like typically they all have that line this up even. And since they were separated, whoever glued this together or it drifted after they glued it, you know, or whatever the process, it was off. So I basically had to just Dremel out the keeper thing to where it lets this slide all the way around. Now, luckily this, you know, I matched it up to the end, and I just glued this in. This does not, it's no longer like a 3-piece thing. And then so once I made it to where that moves, then it solved those issues. So majority of the issues were solved, and I now have about a 5'6" rod that works. It's a good functioning rod. A touch whippy, but not bad, and it will throw very lightweight baits. It's a very capable rod. Here's the issue with this rod. This, and it's hard to make out it because it looks good in pics, and it actually looks good right there. Right there, it doesn't look bad. But in person, that right there looks fake and cheap plasticky. You can instantly tell that's like just painted on gold on a plastic assembly, and that's like a cheap, nickel, like chrome plated plastic. That is not, it just doesn't, it doesn't look at near as good in person. And then look at this. And I want you guys, if you know the rod I'm talking about, if you've seen it on AliExpress, these pictures are horrible that I'm showing you right now. This is horrible compared to those pictures. Look at this. It is simply just a wood. Now, I'm not saying it's horrible looking, but compared to that burl look in the pictures, if you guys know what I'm talking about, not really even like that, right? Even supposed to be more gnarly looking. It's, I don't know, just that's not good. Then on top of it not looking good, this was slicker than snot. You guys know how slick snot is. Now I had this crazy resin stuff. I don't know, it's kind of like George Brett and I'm from Kansas City, so George Brett and too much pine tar, but I basically had to add stuff to this, almost like you would pine tar to a bat to get it to be grippy, right? So it's got like it's definitely grippy now and it's usable, but you shouldn't have to go through all that much work like I did to get this rod wherever. And I paid $45 because it's 6'6", but you can get them for like 30. So, and it does look cool. Like you put a crazy looking rod on it and reel on it on this rod because it already sort of looks crazy looking on its own right. And you'll end up with a good fishable, kind of cool looking. But when you really look at it, but it's, for 35 bucks, what can you expect? I will tell you this, though. They start out like all the cheaper AliExpress rods. They start out way too big of eyes. They definitely need to, probably start with an eye like this, maybe even a hair smaller. One or two like this, maybe one a little smaller, and then start going to these eyes. Now, once it gets going, then they're fine. Then it's actually got them almost where they should be. And it's not bad at all, but just a little too big off the start. The wraps look good. Nothing to write home about, but nothing bad either. I've kind of looked at it quite a while. So the blank itself, I guess I give it, a plus, but you gotta, be wanting a kind of a noodly one. So anyway, that was a lot of time spent on my least favorite ultralight combo. But once all that was said and done, it's not horrible. Just know that if you want that rod, you could be in for maybe a nightmare. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I keep trying. My phone tries to automatically hook me up to our Wi-Fi, and I'll be honest, we don't have Google Fiber around here. Our Wi-Fi is horrible for some reason in this area. All right, I'm back. Now, my next least favorite, but at one time, and when I first had the thoughts of getting this combo, was I thought going to be my favorite, but I've honestly since then kind of upgraded. But this is still a very, very good working, capable combo if you guys want to put one together. Black Knight 2. If you guys don't know it, I'll give you the quick rundown on. You definitely. Oh, the blue fishing line. This is not. Oh shoot. I think it's Suffix 832, their camo blue. It's kind of got a purpley look to it. But it's been fished. And my Kastking, oh my God. My Proberos has not. So if you get the AliExpress stuff, whether it be Proberos, there's another even cheaper brand. Starts with a D, Divern or something. And then Hercules. The purple is black, but I haven't fished it yet. Only maybe, I think I did get out once with this line. So I don't know if it's going to fade and look purpley or not. And I got this used from, it came in from Jim when I bought the 3 used reels. And so this is I think they're 6-pound. That's why I put it on this spool, and I'll talk about that at some point. But I kind of like this color, and I did split it up. He had 6-pound test, and that is roughly, because I've used it in cast testing, it's only 6-pound test braid I have. But that is just over, both of them, just over 200 feet of line is what he had on the 6-pound test on. I don't remember what reel he had it on. So I left it on this one. I'll probably leave it on that one. This one, I just did it for testing, and then once testing's done, I will more than likely throw it away because it will have over years of use on it. So anyway, back to this. But yeah, Suffix 832. I've tried a couple different Suffix over the years. They seem to be a legit one. I used to always use Power Pro when it was 4-strand. 4-strand Power Pro in the vermilion red is like what I lived on for several years. Then I started getting into this AliExpress stuff. Some off-brand. I've never gotten any like bad line. And if you guys don't know, I'll tell you real quick, and then we're going to get back to the ultralight rods. I did a stress test, or strength test. I did tie this up, pulled it, had my fish scale on it, pulling, and it breaks at just over 10 pounds. So it is like right there at the rating. Now, some of you, and kind of like me, I kind of wish it would have broke it like more like 11 or 12 pound test. Because my P-Line Original, the leader material I use, it does break like a pound higher than what it's rated as. Like the 6 almost breaks at 8. The 8 breaks at like 9 something. And I didn't try the 10, but I tried the 2, and I'm like, yeah, they're good. They break like at a pound or so over their rated deals. So anyway, let's finish out this combo deal. This rock and roll Volin, I always showed these upside down. This is the small game specific rods, rock and roll. And I don't know if it actually says Volin anywhere on the rod, but when you're looking it up, it'll say Volin. And all these are listed somewhere else when I first got them, kind of deal, if you're wanting to find the link. But this rod and the Kastking Zephyr, they look different, but they almost feel identical. The blank material, if you had to say, if I was a betting man, you guys heard that saying, I would almost bet that these are the same blanks over that they're not the same blanks, because they're almost identical. They're that close. Have the same overall look, feel, action, the way they are. They're just, have different handle assemblies, different overall paint and wrap and stuff like that. Different. Actually, the eyes look the same. It looks like they could have the identical eyes on them too. So, like, decisions over which one would I fish over the other? I technically like the feel of this handle and overall looks, but this one does not look bad at all, and does not feel bad at all either. Same thing with the reel. I like this. That reel has a smoother feel. I've talked about in videos. So this Black Knight 2, they just added some, I hate to say sharp edges, but edges. It has edging cut out in it that just, you can feel that when you're palming. Like if you hold them side by side and switch hands, this one feels just smoother. It has a smoother, more round feel. Even the rod and the reel for sure. But I like this combo. It will be getting used. And 5'6" ultralights, got the real, it's one with the real bendy tip. That video yesterday when I went through all these rods, that'll give you, if you want to look at a video to see that, overall bend. Are they extra fast, moderate, whatever? That'd be the video to watch. So you will see this one getting a lot of use, but we're kind of down to my top 3 now. This one, unfortunately, I don't know. It still could be, and it's just as capable, maybe more capable than all these, or right there with that one. Like these two are the same. They look different. You're going to get the same performance. You're going to get very, very close performance. So let's just jump to this one. What could be my favorite combo, period, could be my favorite ultralight combo if it wasn't for the fact that I spent crazy money on these two. Because for the money, this is the one I would recommend and pick over these guys. I can't recommend you to buy these over this because, oh, these are better. No, these are just more money and overall should last longer and should give you a little more fun because the fish might put up a touch more of a fight, but still capable rods to get them in. But this one right here, I can't knock this combo. This would be the combo I'd recommend if you're going to get a rod and reel BFS rod and reel combo for ultralight fishing. Honestly, this would be it. The Kastking Zephyr 5'6" rod with the Dark Wolf Ultra reel. Oh, and I didn't tell you the fixes on the. I was getting to that before my freaking internet gave out and I had to switch to just my phone. But the Black Knight 2 you just saw and this reel both have magnet issues. If you haven't watched those videos, go back and look. But it's basically taken, you do need to get different magnets to put inside. And I will show you, I guess. That's why my videos are so long. I'm too thorough in what I'm trying to talk about. And then I talk about everything and nothing gets covered. But if you guys don't know, the FTB system, these first three, this side that moves, see that moving? The first three magnets need a little 4 by 0.5 millimeter, and I don't even know how to pronounce or spell that name of the magnets, but those little magnets, neodymium or whatever they call them. So you'll need 6 magnets, and trust me, it fixes that breaking issue. If you watch the reel test, and if he hasn't, I'm sure and they're not that expensive. And I went crazy and bought like 200 for $9. And I gave Charles some, I sent Jay some, I'm not sending you some, just track them down and order some. But I went from being at like one, it lets you go down at least a whole number. So I was always like at four, the first one past 4 or even further. So it lets you get down into the 3, which is pretty good. Like you go to 4, 4 is like too much brakes for almost anything you throw. So it fixed that. That fixed the brake issue. We had the other issue with line getting in. Now, if I can't say how to fix that, but if I'm using braid, I don't have the issue. I've never had an issue since I've been using braid. When I tried the 2-pound in the cast testing a trout magnet, line will get through there. But 2-pound line will get through on almost all your reels, even the Shimano's. So then I need to pull this back out. The other issue, and I know you're thinking, man, Charlie, that's a lot of issues, but honestly, it's worth taking time and fixing the issues. Now, if you never mess with that spool, and I suggest you don't. Never mess with that spool bearing. Just take them. You can actually spray these out with brake clean without even taking them off. But the Dark Wolf Ultra, the Black Knight 2, you don't mess with. It comes with the orange seals. Leave alone. Black Knight 2, just leave it alone and fish it. The Dark Wolf Ultra, this reel needs these bearings sprayed out. And you can do, brake clean will not hurt, don't have it with a line on, but when you get it new, or take your line off if you've already got one you want to do it. I don't recommend spraying anything on your line other than line conditioner. Brake clean will probably start eating into whatever line you got at some point. It just could weaken it a little, so don't do it. But as far as aluminum, it won't hurt. It won't hurt anodized aluminum. It won't hurt any of this. So you could just spray out this bearing. Same thing with this. Just spray a little. It doesn't take a lot. Just a little squirt. It just loosens and it thins out. Even if grease or oil stays in the bearing, it like thins it out and loosens it up, and it will spin way freer, and your casting will be way better. But if you've already done it and you don't know how to fix it, or you decide to pull that pin out, that pin comes with like a little C-clip. I don't know if you can get it close enough to see. There's supposed to be a little spot and a little C-clip. So when you pop that out, I have no idea. I've never tried to put that one back on. A trick I used was you just run thread. And it's a possibility. I wouldn't try to use it with braid, but just like sewing thread, right? You just run a piece of thread through the hole and hold it up here and then stick the pin in, and then as you push the pin in, the thread just jams itself, it won't hurt anything, and it just keeps this pin locked in. Otherwise, that pin free floats in there and it kind of free floats in there anyway, even when you have the C-clip, because you can jiggle it back and forth. This way it's like solid as of right now anyway. So you put that in, And just pull, usually just pull, and the pieces of thread on either end just like pop off, because when you push that in, it kind of, you know, cut into them anyway, and there's just a little piece of thread in there holding everything. So those few things, if you've messed with it, but if you aren't like me, a tinkerer, and you don't mess with that pin, you just need to get the magnets. But this reel palms about as good as any of them, better than most. The Shimano Aldebaran BFS is probably the only reel I own, those Aldebarans, that palm better. But this palms very good, nice, smooth, small. It's a lightweight reel. Comes with the clicker. But the Kastking Zephyr rod, the reel that you can get, like what to make like the, you know, Kastking Zephyr combo, I don't recommend that for this rod. It's just too it is too heavy a spool to kind of match up with this real soft rod. So anyway, that would be my overall pick. I guess if you're, and it's probably a more durable rod than these two, but it's kind of jumps in the backbone a lot quicker, and therefore if you're on a little creek, stream, little pond, you're catching little fish, little trout, little panfish, even little bass, you know, under a pound, your fish are primarily a pound or less. That's going to take some of the fun out of it, even though it's only 5'6" and it's an ultralight rod. It has that much power behind it once that rod starts to load. It's a lot of fun. These rods are more fun. That's why they're my top two. When you get to the top two, and I've kind of got them split up because this, I'll be honest, this reel looks better on this rod. It just fits better, and then this one on this one. But my favorite rod officially is this one. Now, it's my most expensive ultralight rod, but this Kyorim Rainy Stream, I paid $200 for it, waited 2 months to get it, and I was out using it yesterday, kind of set the drag, did some stress test and a few different things. I love this rod. Now, if you like a very light tip, you will not love this rod. But if you haven't watched, go back and watch that video. The way this rod loads, I like how it works. I like stuff to be kind of, I like a more, not a full flux, but I prefer, and there's places to use all of them for, but I prefer what this rod does. It kind of has that, I'd call it like a, not quite a fast, but definitely not an extra fast. Not quite a fast, but not like a medium. It's like a moderate fast, and then it gets into a little backbone, but it still is a overall light rod. So it feels very good. The 522 SUL is more of a full, almost a full flex. It's more of a moderate, like it is nowhere near nothing like what you would call a fast rod. It is more on the moderate to like a full flexing rod. But I still like that. It feels very good. It's fun to catch little fish on stuff like that. Fun to use the little cranks and stuff like that. But this one's always all capable like that also. So, you know, weight-wise, this is definitely the heaviest reel. The rod weighs what, I think we weighed them up 10 grams more than the 522. So it's still not a heavy rod. The 522 SUL is the lightest rod I've ever owned. And this is only 10 grams heavier. And it has all the, you know, extra metal and wood to enhance the looks. So the blank material and all that, it's very crisp, lightweight rod, and a lot jumps in the backbone a little quicker than the 522 never jumps in the backbone. It's just got a good, but it's a solid, this blank material's good. It just is good stuff. Thank you. Brew Tank Outdoors. The sweet spot to throw on the Zephyr, it doesn't really have a sweet spot. It throws all of it good. It's got that real ultralight tip, but that's another thing. These ultralight rods I'm showing you now, these are not, if you're truly looking for distance, 5'6" or shorter, those aren't your rods. They'll still get out there, but you jump to a 6.5 foot rod. Technically, even my Teton light rod will probably cast a 1.7 gram bait further than these guys. But then you're overpowered on what you're fishing for. And then if you're definitely wanting accuracy, this is the way to go. But this Zephyr rod, what I plan on using all of these for, and I've talked to you guys before, it's basically that 1 point, you know, I feel all these there's a sweet spot is at 1.7 to like 4 grams. Now they'll throw the 6. I was also out there yesterday. Let me just get these baits real quick and we'll talk about that. I got one still on this rod. Why are you getting all catchy? Hang on. So now they're chewed up. Where's the other one at? I don't know what I did with the other one. So you have the, the little cranks. I plan on throwing the probably to as big as like this guy. This actual guy, not necessarily this, but like, and these are all chewed up from doing testing. But like you take an 1/8 ounce jig with a skirt, whatever trailer. I guess I've got several different baits you will probably not see me throwing a trout magnet. So I'll try to show you the difference. I thought I had one rigged up. I guess I don't. So here's a trout magnet. Hard to throw, right? So you probably won't see me throwing that. These combos can throw this, what you've heard talk, fishable distance. These just don't fit. I don't like the way these work anyway. They're just too light. Once you get into bait casting and you're trying to throw stuff and you're trying to reel it when it's light, I find that all bait casters, even a slow one, is faster than spinning gear. So when you're reeling slow and you do need to slow down, I find that like the heavier, just a touch more weight kind of helps that bait get down there a little lower. But the smallest, I guess, let me try to put this one. So basically that's a 1/16 ounce, okay? I was just trying to put this together here real quick to show you guys. So if you get one of these, I'll try to show you how I do it anyway. So you take one of these little dudes, right? That adds up. I'm telling you guys, that is not my, now this, just figure out whatever color you're wanting to throw. There's not a huge difference. I can cast that way further, way easier, flipping or whatever than I can a trout magnet. So they make these little heads, and I've just picked them up all over locally here. They have those, and you put like that, basically a crappie jig tube or whatever. You can slap it over there, hide the weight. I don't like that. I like this. The little chatterbaits, I don't have any on hand. Or these real little, Roadrunner makes the little underspins. That's the kind of stuff you're going to be throwing. Up to like this size, you can throw about an 1/8 ounce roughly is all the bigger head you'll need. You could do it on a 1/16. Add a little bit bigger plastic to it, when you are wanting something a little bit bigger. Say you just notice they're hitting the bigger stuff. They're, how big can I go? They got these little crappie sliders. They make bass sliders, different stuff. Now these are all nasty just from casting, but then on your cranks, 1.7, 4 grams, up to a 6 gram little square. That was a square bill. And that's the one. That's not the right color, but remember that yellow one I was tearing them up with? That's the brand. I just decided to use a sacrificial one to get out here and cast the actual baits. And that's what I'm doing with these. Test casting the actual baits I'll be throwing so I can see what fills what with what. And so, other than the little, you guys have seen the flashback chatterbaits, right? They make them, I think, from a 1/16 to an 1/8 or something like that. Those little chatterbaits, these little things, just any kind of jigs, imagination, whatever. They got these little topwater baits. So to answer the question, this Zephyr, and all these for that matter, can throw all this. Like, I don't feel there's a niche for any of these. This one can throw the trout magnet, but it can also fling this out and feel comfortable that it's not overpowering, and I feel I can set the hook good even with these bigger trebles. Now, I wouldn't want to go on any of these. I would go, you can throw the like Ned Rig TRD, but I wouldn't go any bigger than that, and you're going to have to yank. You know, if you're fishing, depends on what line you're using. If you decided to go real lightweight to 2 pound test, then you're going to pull this guy out of the mix, possibly this guy. I guess you could get by with most of these, but you may want to even think about pulling this guy out. Because once your line, if you're like, oh, I'm going 1 pound, well, you're going to have to take some of your hooks out because it takes a certain amount of, hook setting power to get a good hook set. So if you don't want to miss fish, but like me, these two will have 6 pound test. So I still feel that with 6 pound test, I can I'll be able to fish this bait. And I have the trebles all bent and broke off, but I don't think I'll have a problem setting the hook on, a crankbait with 2 treble hooks that size. I think that's the biggest I'll go, though. You won't see me throwing anything heavier. So all these baits. But with the Zephyr, I'm running 10 pound. And it will have a 10 pound leader. That Rock and Roll will have a 10 pound. Now that other one has 6 pound test. The first crazy blue one that you saw. PW100 Spirit Fox combo. The Lemoren rod. That's going to be 6 pound. These two are going to be 6 pound. These two, I'll just, for sure, now unless I just get gung-ho and I want to take these out on the boat with me, and I probably will at times, but like if I'm going down and it's just going to be, say, me and Charles and we're going out in his boat, probably not taking these. I still might, who knows, but I'll probably leave these behind just to help keep from getting beat up and, messed up. They're only got 6 pound test. This rod and this rod are almost like what you would call my travel rods. They're fairly affordable. This rod was only, what are they, like $40 and $80. The Black Knight or the Dark Wolf Ultra, same thing, like, well, $75 basically. I was what I'm getting both of them for now, and then a $65 rod and a, what was that, $45 or $50 rod. So I'm not worried. The rods are real durable, solid graphite tip, so I'm not worried about breaking or stuff. They're going to have 10 pound test. They will be going on the boat with me. They'll probably be going some of the stream and creek fishing, but then these will be my main two, and I'll try to get the others in or whatever. But those with the 10 pound, they're throwing all this, and who knows? You've seen the poppers, right? The TSU poppers, the 4 grams, definitely all these are going to throw those. Those little pencil walking bait, topwater baits I just got, all the ultralight rods I plan on throwing with that. The miniature whopper plopper I plan on throwing with all these. The only thing, like, I guess if I'm throwing a true TRD and that's what I feel like I want to try to get a bite going on, I'll probably honestly leave everything with 6 pound out, and it'll be just those 2 10 pound things. And if I feel I want to throw a little heavier than 6 grams, I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. I'll throw most of everything with all these. And I've never really, I don't know, I don't think they really have this doesn't really have a sweet spot. Now it's got that rod on, a reel. When I was throwing just a Kastking Zephyr combo, I would honestly say it was up in here. It was 4 to 6 grams is what that's all that reel would let you get down and feel real comfortable with. So, throwing a TRD, because I forget what they actually weigh when you take the smallest size. Like, you don't want to start with an 1/8 ounce TRD and an 1/8 ounce, or an 1/8 ounce head, then the TRD on that, because then you're dealing with too much weight for these little ultralights. That's when you want to get into the lights. So they will handle it all. I'm going to be putting a video out. You guys know about the Shimano BFS. Now I will also mention this spool will be changed out also. I've got it's already on the way. And here's the difference. Real quick, I'm going to take a break, and we're going to talk AliExpress for just a second. I'm going to tell you the difference. Now, don't order anything from AliExpress for another week or so, because they're in their Chinese New Year. I don't even want to get into all that. But yes, they should have it on there. They didn't give me, not that I needed a warning. Warning is a strong word, I guess. But they should have had something on there saying, hey, at such and such date, we will be shut down in orders on all their stores, everywhere. Even AliExpress should have just been plastering around, because it's stuff you get from China, right? They should have had a big thing plastered. So I ordered 3 things. I've got this streamer rod, which was a pretty expensive deal. $85 of my money just sitting there for 2 weeks before they even go back to work to do anything. Somebody should have told me. I'd have just waited a couple weeks to put the order in. It's that simple. But AliExpress and this whole Chinese New Year thing is driving me nuts. But here's another thing that drives me nuts about AliExpress. Now, am I going to stop buying from there? No, because you can get a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff you can't get nowhere else other than AliExpress. But you can get good quality, but cheap, affordable stuff that you just probably wouldn't even think about buying just because some of this local stuff is so much money and every prices are going crazy high, right? But on AliExpress, other than the Chinese New Year, the minute you're thinking you're needing something, and I'd recommend, now I'm not telling you to go out and charge stuff or whatever, but as long as you can afford it, the minute you realize you want that, I tend to start putting stuff in carts. You know, I put it in my cart, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I'm going to tell you real quick that you need, if you want it, buy it, right? You guys know Ariana Grande, her song, I seen it, I like it, I want it, I bought it. It's kind of like that, because I'm going to tell you a quick story. I know nothing's quick. This reel right here, this spool, you guys, I don't know if you follow the channel, I got this spool and we've already used it, I've already cast it, and I don't know if it's maybe 2 weeks now. I ordered this spool 2 days before I ordered a spool for this guy. This spool that's coming, the Chameleon, this Chameleon came like almost 2 weeks ago. It was fairly quick shipping. It arrived, I want to say less than a month, 2 or 3, about 3 weeks maybe. As far as I know, that spool, the Chameleon spool for this guy, ordered 2 days later, hasn't even hit the United States yet. It's coming. It's through customs or whatever it's doing. And, you know, every so many days it gives an update. But it's crazy how just a day or two can change the whole. It's insane. I've still got 2 reels out. The Corrado BFS. I know some of you are still waiting for me to get that one and see what I think of it, which I don't think it's going to match up to the Aldebaran or whatever, but who knows? It could be like this reel. This reel surprised me, and it does look like this. That's one of the reasons why I ordered it. The reel test held it up against this one and said, oh, it's still smaller, like on the side plate size. I'm like, man, I still want to get one of those because I never had one. I just kind of I've seen it around enough, that frame size mainly, not even on a Corrado BFS, but out of those, all the reels ever made on that frame size, the Corrado BFS would be the best one out of the bunch to get, if you ask me. So I'm going to try that one out. It still is lost. December 20th is the last time it shows any movement. And the other one that looks like and as I get out of here, I'm going to show you something. The other one that kind of looks more, it's the other reel that's stuck with the Corrado, because they packaged them together, even though they came from a different place, they're stuck. I wanted to show you guys. It's the only other reel that looks more like it's the Kingdom Nebula or whatever. It looks more like a Steez than any of the lingual variants. But I finally kind of got this guy together. If you guys have followed that deal with the lingual, I call it the Gringle now. I put the green frame off the Turquoise Fox, which is green. But I'm probably going to put green line on this or the camo. And I'm just going to leave the green alone for now. But this reel actually looks pretty good, and looks pretty good on this 13 fishing rod. And I really kind of like the Corrado, you know, has a little subtle green to it. And with green line, it'll just kind of, instead of just being all black, you know, and silver rod and reel. Because I was going to de-anodize that, but I think I'll just, and I might put a actual black carbon fiber handle once I get one. But I think that'll look pretty good. And this will see a lot of use. We'll be able to really tell how well these reels. Now, my Lingle's already seen a lot of use. I don't think we'll have any kind of durability issues with the Lingles or the variants. Now, it does have brass gears. The Turquoise Fox and the MK9, which is higher gear ratio, are brass gears. And you can kind of feel a little heavier weight than a Lingle has aluminum. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. Stay tuned. I don't know when you will see my other lineup. This is just my ultralights. And I will also put a video out. I don't know if it's going to make it today or not. Because I want to talk about... I'm going to put a video out today on this reel. My overall thoughts on it. If you don't know what it is, stay tuned. That video's coming. But then I want to put together a video separating. I know we don't want to separate stuff, but BFS has gotten to the point now and evolved enough that, in all honesty, your SV and your MGL spools, they're basically kind of the I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. They're kind of like a byproduct of what has become, BFS. Basically, if you look at the SV spools, the MGL spools, they'll call them and try to tell you what's what. They're basically hold less line and are lighter spools in order to throw lighter baits. That's what BFS. But it's transitioned so much now that we have these crazy 3 point whatever gram spools throwing the littlest of baits that it wasn't that many years ago you would not have thought about trying to throw that with a bait caster. So I think it's time to, and it's simple enough to really do kind of based on your rods. And I know some have different actions and different purposes or whatever, but I'm just going to tell you what I've done. I've got my Ultralight BFS stuff. I've got my regular BFS fishing stuff, which is primarily in the light to medium light, maybe, and some ultralight, some of the stiffer ultralights, but that's my regular BFS kind of thing. Then I have, and everybody, there's like a trigger word is power, but like my power BFS stuff, that my shaky, which is what I basically started out fishing BFS, just to get into throwing shaky heads and stuff like that. And then I've branched down, as the technologies came up, I've kind of went with it and seen the purpose and the uses for it. So I basically have ultralight BFS, BFS, power BFS, 3 separate things, small, medium, large, however you want to, that's how I consider my stuff. So when somebody's recommending or, asking me to recommend something, so I'm going to put that video together just to kind of help the new guys out. If you like me and you've fished for a while now and been using lightweight baits and stuff, you kind of know what rod or what reel the minute you start seeing some ratings on it. But some of these ratings are misleading, and then sometimes you just, it just doesn't click yet until you see it or hear it in person or watch a video on it with the bait center. So I'm going to try to set up and I'll probably do it with reels, because rods are fairly simple. There's going to be some differences, but if the rod says ultralight, it probably should be in the ultralight category. If it says light, medium light, somewhere in that area, or if it says ultralight but it gives you a higher rating than the other ultralights you're reading, it might be regular BFS gear. And then power BFS could be anything on the high end of stuff. You're still, and sometimes, yes, you will throw regular size baits, but you can throw them maybe way further so you get that more distance. Or maybe you're throwing something that's just hard to throw in general. You can throw with regular gear, but the BFS gear just makes it easier, because a bait casting finesse system, and what I call power BFS, that's what I'm doing. I'm taking whatever reel with that spool and I'm putting on whatever rod in order to like basically finesse, downsize a little, or even not even in size, but in weight. I'm going to be able to throw that bait on a bait caster that typically would be thrown with spinning gear. It's BFS, right? It is to me. I don't know. We could argue all that later. But anyway, hopefully you like this video on my combos. I do have my favorite rod is now officially this guy I've mentioned. The 522 is still close, but the Zephyr is my favorite overall that I definitely recommend. But as far as fun factor, smaller fish, these 2 rods over the Zephyr any day. Just a fun of catching little fish, or even over the Zephyr. But the capable, and because these are hollow body, that's a solid tipped rod. Solid tipped rods just typically will take a little more abuse than your hollowed ones. Once you get that hollow to a certain thinness, they are, I'm not saying they're not tough. They're a touch more delicate though than like what your solid tipped rods are. Favorite reel is officially this reel since I've started using it, especially as I get some of these lightweight spools and just the capability. Now, maybe not my favorite ultralight BFS reel, but with that spool, man, it is hard to beat. I'm telling you that right now. This is still definitely one of those, I don't want to say comfort foods, creature comforts. Definitely one of those spoil yourself combo kind of thing, Enjoy the nicer things in life, because this does feel and work good. It's just one of those cool things. This reel, if you're wanting small, palmable, but affordable, and you like the Aldebaran BFS, but you want something to throw along with it, that reel. Aldebaran BFS still, he's not here because I've got him on the CU double. So stay tuned. I'll have that video because my shortest little narrow area is my, what I call light BFS. I've got the CU double, the Toma, and that's really it. They're stiffer than all these rods, but they're not quite to shaky head power BFS stiffness. And so technically my normal BFS is actually my least covered one that I don't have as many combos for. My power BFS, game on with it. My ultralight BFS now, after this season, buying all this stuff, game on. We're good to go for the season. It's actually that my just middle range BFS, and then my normal bait casting stuff actually too. The rod I just showed you, 13 fishing, the NRXs, that's kind of limited too. My main thing is ultralight BFS and then power BFS. Both spectrums of the BFS is where I'm totally covered so far. So anyway, guys, before you go, give us your opinion on this power BFS issue. Oh, yeah, I just now read that Brew Tank Outdoors said. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you, for me, power fishing is nothing to do with any bait you're using. Yes, typically baits can, there's power fishing baits that lend themselves way better than others. It's hard to power fish a worm, but I feel that with the Zinkers, I can get out there and almost like power fish it. But if you're out there speed cranking, you're throwing a square bill and you're just going along, you're kind of power fishing. So who's to say that if you're not throwing a square bill that's this size, or say the big, monster one, if you're throwing it in right up in against brush and you're just cranking and you're hitting and you're kind of power fishing. You take this bait, and I probably will. I take that to a little creek or stream where I typically am throwing these lighter things, and I start throwing that and I'm bouncing off stuff. And if I catch a big bass, I've kind of caught that bass power fishing, wouldn't you say? So it's hard to put, what is power fishing? What is BFS power fishing? What is power BFS? I just told you on the gear, what I consider a powerful BFS combo. Now, if you are just using an SV or an MGL spool on, say, a medium action rod, and you're throwing probably this guy, because you could probably throw this 6-gram bait on that. I don't think you're going to get quite the distance. Trust me, the MGL spool for sure. SV, unless it's the boost spool, I bet you I can get distance. But the typical SV spools, so you could get more distance. Say if you go with, I'm trying to think, like possibly the Lingle, for sure, like these guys, this reel here, or the Aldebaran BFS, or like the SS Air. I bet you could get more distance with that reel on whatever rod you're using than you could with an MGL or an SV, even with a 6-gram bait. So it's kind of, there's that fine line. Are you power fishing? Because if you're throwing it out and you're cranking it and you're fishing a 6-gram bait, or I don't even know. I guess I should probably throw this on one of my regular setups and see if I can even get it a good. I'm sure I could fish it, but then depending on the power of the rod, you get too heavy a rod, you'll yank this thing right out of their mouths. Like I wouldn't want to throw this on a medium heavy for sure. Medium rod, yeah, like the 802, but the 802 is kind of in a different class itself, kind of like that lightning rod. Most of your medium rods you're going to go look at, and you put it with a regular reel, it's not going to cast that worth a darn. You're going to get out there like 25 to 35 feet, or possibly 40. You're not going to get a good cast with it, especially if you're new to fishing. But I also think that I can be out power BFS fishing with this as we're doing this ultralight thing. I think I can come out here with that one. I could throw, say if I'm throwing that flashback or the micro chatterbait, the one that kind of looks like a jackhammer. It's a little bitty 1/8 ounce, but it's got the eyes on the head. And I put whatever thing on it, and I'm throwing it just up along grass. But I'm coming fast. I'm throwing it, and I'm cranking back fast, and I'm trying to hit the grass and bounce off the grass. I'm kind of power fishing. Now, if I'm throwing one of these little jigs out and I'm just kind of bouncing it off bottom, I'm just BFS fishing. I'm not power fishing. But the minute I start, I pick up the intensity or I upsize the bait, and you know, it's just I don't know. It's hard to say you can't add power to BFS because the point is to go smaller. Well, going smaller doesn't mean slower all the time or more subtle. Sometimes it's going smaller, but then power fishing it. So then it's power BFS. Or if you've got a heavy, good combo, like out of these, I would say it's going to be hard to power fish anything with the 522 SUL. I'm not saying you can't do it, but if I was like, give us your best combo for BFS power fishing, ultralight combo, it would be one of those two guys, like I'd mentioned. They just have more backbone. I'm going to run 10-pound test on them. I will be doing some kind of, you know, what I would call more of almost a power fishing. And just like the little, you see me with the little bitty top waters, whether it be the whopper, little miniature whopper plopper, or the little, oh shoot, top water buzz baits. That's, I couldn't think of, I've fished buzz baits for years. I couldn't think of the word I was trying to use for them. But if I'm out there throwing buzz baits, you're kind of power fishing. The minute you start using a buzz bait as a top water or a whopper plopper. Now you could also finesse a whopper plopper. You could take, especially these little ones, or a popper. A popper is a perfect example. You take a popper, it's got a little tail on it, right? Got that little feather. You can power fish a popper. You can finesse fish a popper. So who's to say if I've got the Sonora 4-gram popper, or if I've got the big Pop Max, and I'm power fishing it, and my power BFS, if I'm using the little Sonora 4-gram, or it's impossible to call it power BFS fishing because I was using, you know, ultralight gear. So I don't know. I'm just going to put it to you this way. If I'm out there and I feel I'm power fishing, you're going to hear me say power BFS. If I feel the combo I've put together is a powerful combo, you're probably going to hear me call it the power, you know, power BFS. You know, power whatever. So anyway, I'm keeping it under an hour, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Got a lot more videos coming up. I've got a few different fishing stuff left. I do have the chatterbait one coming out. I will be putting together a chatterbait video once all of them come back in. I've still got some from AliExpress that they made it out of China before the Chinese New Year, but they're still not here yet. So I'll be putting together a chatterbait video. I went back through and I found one today that was like over a half hour long. I shortened it up to it's under 15 minutes, and so I'm re-releasing it. It's when I went out and I tested colors. I threw what at the time was my favorite bait, just a Z-Man original, black and blue skirt, gold blade, was tearing them up. But then I stopped and I switched out. I had a chrome blade also and a black blade on black and blue. And you'll see, watch the video just for proof, but I'll give you a spoiler. That blade color didn't matter. Then, you won't really understand in the video because I cut all that part out. I might put together another video. Then I took just black and blue. I put it up against just like kind of a more natural, you know, green color chatterbait, and then another color. And I found that day anyway, I'm not saying it's all the time, but that day they wanted black and blue. They didn't even hit, I didn't get a bite on the other baits. But I got bass caught on all of the black and blue, whether it was gold blade, silver blade, or painted, you know, an all black blade. So anyway, guys, be looking for that video once all the chatterbaits come in. But I'll have another one out today for sure on this reel, and possibly one on my ultralight BFS, and yes, Virginia, power BFS. Get used to it. It's a thing.